Hey guys, it's Intricate from AmigaLove.com. This video is a brief update on the Rejuvenator project. As many of you know, I've been on a mission to reverse engineer the Rejuvenator, which is a fantastic bit of kit that was invented back in 1990 by a man named Greg Tibbs. It allows the Amiga 1000 to essentially work like an Amiga 500 or 2000, where it can have the 1 megabyte chip RAM Agnes, or 2 megabyte, even if you're so lucky to find one of the more rare 2 megabyte versions that were popped out of Amiga 3000s. This project met its first major milestone, which I demonstrated in a video at the end of July 2018, where we actually got the thing to install properly and run beautifully. And I actually ran a demo called Psycho Killer, which it requires 1 megabyte of chip to even run, and it was smooth as butter. It looked amazing, sounded amazing. It is amazing. Unfortunately, what's happened relatively recently is that the local company that we'd been working with to reverse engineer the board with us, our partners in the project, decided to pull out. And they were feeling, they have overhead, they've got an office that they have to pay rent on, they've got employees that they have to pay, and the deeper we got into the project, the more and more nervous they became that they were going to be able to actually make some money off of this thing and not turn it into a giant money pit for them financially, which I totally understand. So unfortunately, they decided to walk away, and we were kind of left in a little bit of a lurch there for a little while. Ultimately, we did find a new firm that's decided to work with us. They have a proven track record of reverse engineering old hardware for retro computers, which is really, really cool. So this type of work is not completely foreign to them, which is great. That being said, after many deliberations back and forth and trying to get everybody up to speed, which took some time because there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of history. Once we got everybody up to speed on the project and what it was we were trying to do, we've all come to an agreement that the next step, the next major milestone that we need to meet, is to be able to read the PAL chips that are on the Rejuvenator board. PAL chips are programmable array logic chips. I'm not going to pretend I fully understand what that means, because I'm not an electrical engineer, I'm not a hardware engineer, I'm not a computer science major, I'm a designer. That being said, I can tell you that on these chips are custom logic and equations that were written that tell the board, that tell the Rejuvenator certain functions that it needs to understand in order to play nice with the Amiga 1000 motherboard too. And there are a few of these chips on there. Around the time when I was demoing, when I was demoing the demo, all right, I got a little excited, and because I actually have the 2 megabyte Agnes, and the Rejuvenator, as it shipped, came with the 1 megabyte because that's the only one that Commodore at the time made available easily. I actually do have the 2 meg Agnes, and I was very eager to pop it in there and see what it could do, right? That's kind of how we geek out on this stuff sometimes. What I didn't know was that a million years ago, when this Rejuvenator was still fresh in its box, the original owner had left it this way, and it, of course, as you all know, has one of those lovely batteries soldered right onto the motherboard. And what none of us knew was that a million years ago, a particle from the battery, as it began to corrode, had floated off into space, moved across the board, and landed directly on top of one of the Agnes socket pins. I had no clue. I never saw any green. All I ever saw, and that's pretty far away from where the battery is located, so I never even thought to look at the Agnes. The board looks brand new, because it's never even been used until now. When I pulled the Agnes out to pop the 2 meg Agnes in, one of the little pins just in the socket just fell off. That's when I took a really close look after I cursed a little bit and I felt my heart go, ew. I got some magnifying lenses on and I took a close look, and that's when I could see the very top of just one of the 84 pins was green, and that little pin had just been hanging on for dear life for the past 28 years or whatever it's been. So this happened, and thank goodness one of the members of AmigaLove.com quickly raised his hand and volunteered to repair the problem, which was awesome. I instantly shipped it off to him. Can't thank him enough. And he fixed it in a day. 84 desolders and resolders, boop, put the new socket on that I'd ordered from China. And while he had the board in his possession, he actually has a PAL reader. And so he hooked it up. And guys, unfortunately, he wasn't able to read the PALs. It is possible to write protect these chips. I asked the inventor, Greg Tibbs, months ago, if he happened to remember if he had write protected those PALs back in the day, and he adamantly said, no, I didn't. In fact, I didn't even know you could do that back then. I just created the chips. You should be able to read them. You should be good to go. What he didn't know, and what we're starting to realize now, is that even though he didn't protect them, it seems like the manufacturing producer of the boards in Ohio, I don't even think the copyright owners of the board knew this happened, but at the place where it was assembled, they actually did write protect these PAL chips, or at least that's what we think, because every time he tried to read them, he would just get a series of ones back. And the only way that he could actually read the PALs was to flip it over into GAL mode, which is a generic array logic chip. It's basically the same thing, but it's just a different I believe a different company that created the GALs versus the PALs, and now they just own everything. In any case, that's kind of where things stand right now. If we can't actually read those highly customized logic and equations from a fairly antiquated language that was written a billion years ago, the project's potentially dead in the water. There are ways, I've been informed on AmigaLove.com by one of the other users of the site, that said it is possible to recreate that logic and figure out what those equations are by using what's called a breadboard. It's just a very long, tedious, difficult job to perform, and the chance of success, I can't even really put a percentage on that. Nor could I expect someone to raise their hand to volunteer to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to send the Rejuvenator off to be read by a second source and verify that they are indeed write protected PAL chips. If they are indeed write protected, that's probably going to kill the project as far as my personal involvement in it at this stage. Unless something miraculous happens that's unknown to me today, that's probably going to kill it. However, since I have the bare Rejuvenator board, and the owner of that board recently agreed to sell it to me, so I have the only one in existence, I think, on the planet that's unpopulated, we can actually send that board to a company that can sand it down and analyze it layer by layer and recreate all of the circuitry, right? And create brand new Gerber files. Now, it's not free, and I'll have to figure out how we would fund such a project. It's not enormously expensive, but it is something that would need to be funded. And I could have those Gerber files created. And if that's the case, my desire is to release those to the public, so that potentially someone else out there who has a Rejuvenator, who has more capability than we at this current time have in-house, can potentially utilize those diagrams and find a way to recreate the PAL logic. And if that's the case, then the project can move forward at some point. And I'd be happy to be involved in that again, or support whoever decides to pick up the ball and run with it at that stage. But that's kind of where we are right now. We're going to try and verify the PAL chips are indeed write protected. And then after that test is performed, try and decide what to do. Hopefully, we're able to actually read them with a different reader. But as of right now, don't really know. As soon as we do know, I'll be sure to let you know. and we'll go from there. All right, guys, this is Intricate from AmigaLab.com. Thanks for listening in, and we'll be in touch. Cheers.